Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and life just keeps getting more and more fun because I had to show you this, guys. I had to do a video on it. It's essentially Donald Trump attacking cryptocurrency, and as he said here on Twitter, it says, I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies which are not money, and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. And then he goes on to say, similarly, Facebook's Libra virtual currency will have little standing or dependability. If Facebook and other companies want to become a bank, they must seek a new banking charter and become subject to all banking regulations. Just like other banks, both national and international, he continues. We have only one real currency in the USA, and it's stronger, quote unquote, than ever. Both dependable and reliable. It is by far the most dominant currency anywhere in the world. And it will always stay that way. It's called the United States dollar. All right, guys. So Donald Trump is attacking cryptocurrency, attacking Bitcoin. I don't have a problem with him attacking Facebook Libra because, like, it's trash. It's digital dollar, fiat. It's nonsense. But I just find this hilarious because, you know, all you guys, there's a lot of you out there that say Donald Trump is attacking the Federal Reserve. He's going to take down the Federal Reserve. Trust the plan. It's a deep state. He's going to destroy the deep state. And obviously, well, let's see. Trump says U.S. should join great currency manipulation game by devaluing the dollar. And as he says, China and Europe play a big currency manipulation game and pumping money into their system in order to compete with USA. We should match or continue being dummies who sit back and politely watch as other countries continue to play their games as they have for many years. And he's also praising the stock market. So where is this Donald Trump that's critical of the Fed? Oh, right. That's right. He said we need to lower interest rates. That's pretty critical of the Federal Reserve. Actually, it works perfectly because it means that, well, the United States inevitably is going into negative interest rates. But getting back to this tweet, it's not going over that well. If you look at the responses, it's humorous. Let's see. This guy says, the U.S. dollar's value is also based on thin air. The gold standard is history. It's called fiat currency for a reason. Well, fiat means enforced, by legal tender laws, to make that clear. But Mike Cernovich, a big-time supporter of Donald Trump, wrote this. This is a major mistake on your part and shows a lack of vision. And of course, Mike Cernovich has been supportive of Lynn Albrecht, mother of Ross Albrecht, which I really appreciate from him. This guy named Curry Dobson wrote to Trump saying, don't you mean the American dollar? Just wait when the economy implodes and the Federal Reserve drops interest rates to zero and uses quantitative easing to print money out of thin air and drive up inflation like crazy. Victor Bozo here wrote, I got your unlawful right here. If the machine of government is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say break the law. Henry David Thoreau. That's a good quote. And anyway, there's a lot more. I got to go through some of these because it's just hilarious. This is such a huge misstep, and I'll explain a bit more in a moment, but I want to go into more of these. This guy said, named Platista Con Excel wrote, based on thin air, lol. Bitcoin economics make way more sense than continue printing on the Fed. And cash is used a lot more than Bitcoin for illegal activities. That's absolutely true. And actually, before I get into more, I want to actually mention, this is hilarious. When you actually talk about illegal activities, let's see. They say, well, terrorism. Well, if someone used Bitcoin to fund terrorism, it would be tracked to them because, you know, you could trace Bitcoin. If they use cash, fiat cash, they'd be fine. 99% of all, transactions with terrorists happens with fiat, mostly by the government. Funny how that happens. Anyway, carrying on. I have to bring in drug activity, of course. He meant illegal activity, drugs, all sorts of stuff. Who buys drugs with Bitcoin? You could trace it. It's so if you're going to buy drugs, use cash. And by the way, Prohibition worked very well for that, didn't it? Government always helps so much, especially running guns into Mexico, into cartels while propping up the war on drugs, and Operation Condor displacing 400,000 people. Anyway, we're going into way out of the subject matter here. But anyway, Aaron Kitty said, the fact that you claim that Bitcoin is based on thin air and USD is nothing but paper currency backed by consumer confidence says all we need to know. Gab.com wrote, you are wrong about this. Bitcoin is free speech money. Not with anybody wrote, the dollar is based on thin air too. And Being Libertarian wrote, at least because of the polarized political climate, Democrats will be forced to buy Bitcoin or be associated with racists. Hashtag HODL, hashtag Moon, hashtag Lambo. Anyway, I don't know. It's so ridiculous. By the way, this guy's talking about selling his mansion for Bitcoin a while back ago. And now that 18K Bitcoin is now worth $220 million. Seemed to work pretty good for him. Now, look, the cryptocurrency markets are up and down. Today, after Trump said this, it's volatile. It's crypto, obviously. But I have to note that all of this seems rather funny because the true value of the dollar is nothing, but value is subjective. Value isn't just it doesn't just float. A magical number doesn't float over a said idea or item or whatever. Labor could be physical, but it could be mental as well. You could think and create things with your mind. That's valuable. The internet is valuable, and it's whatever this is. It's thin air. The worst thing about fiat isn't even that it is printed out of thin air, but there isn't any scarcity, so there's no significant understood value. It's just faith based on governments around the world, world reserve currency, utilizing it. But I mean, when it comes down to it, the worst thing about fiat is because it's by fiat, by law, by force, and by force usury, legal tender laws. People are forced into servitude because of it. They're forced to pay off the interest on the debt. And by the way, if you're only paying off the interest on the debt, then do you really want to pay off the debt? And then, of course, I have to bring in the fact that when we talk about value, people so often think it means physical. Now, I'm not saying that physical items don't hold value, but for example, like gold and silver. Gold and silver, obviously, doing pretty well these days, especially gold. Gold-silver ratio at a peak, a recession indicator, by the way. And at the same time, they have physical value, as in they could be used for things physically, and they could be held in the hand. A lot of people prefer that to cryptocurrency. Fine, that's fine. I actually think that people should probably hold more than 50, in my opinion, 50% in gold and silver. But nonetheless, gold and silver are heavily manipulated markets because of banks and et cetera. And by the way, total communist system through fractional reserve lending and all that. But I just have to note that gold, its value is scarcity, application use, demand, and whatever we think is value is valuable. If I'm trading with someone, I believe this has value. They agree. We trade. Everyone's happy. Shake hands, move on, all is good. Value is subjective completely. If we want to trade goats, we can. Most people won't take it. Most stores will recognize certain competing currencies, gold, Bitcoin, silver, Dash, Digibyte, EOS, whatever it is. People will decide and make their own decisions in life as far as value goes and what do most places take and etc. With the US dollar, it's forced on us by legal tender laws, and then we pay off the interest on the debt, and the price of living inflates and everything goes crazy, and then everyone asks for more government to fix that problem. We need to fix this problem with higher wages. Well, no, how about we just stop printing? No. You're a racist bigot. We need higher wages, obviously. It's this weird quandary we're in because people don't understand money or value, which is entirely subjective. You go to certain tribes, way back when the colonizers would come there and they'd want the pearls, and the tribes would be like, I don't want these pearls. Go, take them. Take them for nothing. Subjective value. Monkeys aren't going to use gold. A lot of people don't care about gold. Look at Mark Dice, for example, giving people chocolate bar or silver coin. Well, most people are picking the chocolate bar. It doesn't mean that the chocolate bar is worth more to most people, but it's subjective. A lot of people are like, silver, I don't know, what's that even, I don't even know what I could do with that. I'll take the chocolate bar, which is 18th of the price of that silver coin. So anyway, my point is that Trump is talking about how good the dollar is, and it's never been better. And look, it's definitely been better. It's been better in 1913. It was better in 1972, 71, 72. Nixon took them off the gold standard, which, by the way, was still just printing more IOUs than they had gold. So that's not exactly great, by the way. That's not the solution. Government isn't the solution to the problems of government. But it devalues all the time. It's a fraction of a hundredth of whatever it was when it first came out. And the price of living has inflated, debt skyrocketed, poverty, middle class destroyed, and but the dollar is doing better than ever. Well, wait, no, it's going into a bear market according to most economists, and the stock market, it went up to 27,000 for the first time. It's insane. It isn't insane. Actually, it is pretty insane. It's in a very bad way because it's propped up on debt and artificial manipulation. Like it always has been. It just keeps getting propped up. There's no fundamental value. It's all speculation. And now that brings me to cryptocurrencies that people are flooding into outside of the stock market as bonds go crazy. And we look at the yield curve data, which is crazy as well. And interest rates are talking about going lower, which probably bring it to negative 2.5 to negative 3%. They just lowered it in Australia. They're lowering it in Britain, etc. Recession on the horizon. 100%. Actually, we're in a technical depression. Or as Stephen Kettle calls it, a ghost crash. Hashtag ghost crash. Check that out. Since 2008. It's just propped up. It's nothing. It's just nonsense. It doesn't exist. It's all fake veneer. It's like a really nice looking casino in Las Vegas where I am, and then you go inside and it's just sad people smoking at a machine, and they all look the same inside. It's all veneer, all fake. And cryptocurrency, of course, there's a vast amount of speculation that's a problem, and it brings in greed into the situation, which is a problem. There's going to be more bubbles, which is a problem because most cryptocurrencies are terrible, which is a problem, but there's also incredible opportunity in a few of them. Properly decentralized, fundamentally useful cryptocurrencies. And don't say the government's going to come and ban it, because China tried to ban it, and what happened? 10 times more people started buying it. What about taxes they're going to extort you? According to Credit Karma, only 0.05% of crypto owners in 2017 reported their crypto to the IRS. Oh no, fear. It's all based on fear. But with that said, what do cryptocurrencies offer? Well, first of all, a safe haven, privacy if you're looking at Monero, the possibility of being able to send $1,000, $1 million, $50 million with a $3 fee at the most, well, maybe $7 in a volatile market, pre-adoption, not fully scaled. So, yeah, there's that. And also, look at Venezuela, economy collapsed, and everyone's like, I'm using Dash. I'm just going to start using Dash. The government's like, what about this Petrocoin? They're like, no, I'm good. I think I'm going to use the Dash. I think we've trusted you long enough with our currency. I think I'm going to just deal with it myself and be responsible. The basis of freedom itself. So they did. And same with Colombia and Argentina. Argentina's in its millionth inflationary event again. Zimbabwe's going into inflation again. I saw people in Mauritania when I was there recently who are using crypto all over Spain, in France, and Germany. And it's just kind of behind in the United States and Canada to a certain extent, I think. But the adoption will come, and that brings great value into the markets. Now, from a speculation standpoint, it helps to make a lot of really interesting people with great ideas rich. But that's not the point. I don't think it's meant as a store of value. I think it's great as a currency that you use. Now, there's debate over that. I think it could be used for both, like gold, both. And again, Bitcoin, 21 million Bitcoins ever to be created by the year 2050, or 2150. That's not a lot. It's not a lot of Bitcoins. And that creates vast scarcity in the markets. that also brings in the factor of, well, there's a deficit versus the demand. Not everyone in the world will be able to own one whole Bitcoin. It's impossible. And then, we have the issue of, well, not an issue, the fact that it plays into gold, again, scarcity, application, use, and demand. With Bitcoin, scarcity, application, use, and demand. The physicality of gold plays into its use case, and that's what I was getting at earlier. The physicality of gold it contributes to its use case. Now, the blockchain can be used for evil, and that's what the Chinese government and that's what the U.S. government, and among many others, are trying to do. Co-opt a movement. So are we going to just say, oh, well, they're doing this stuff too. They're trying to develop on this, so we just shouldn't develop on it. We should be scared and run away. Just hold on to our gold. Diversification is important. As Leora Gans, our recent guest here at WAM, said, owning only gold and silver is almost as bad as owning no gold or silver. It's an interesting thought. Diversification is important, especially when it comes to wealth insurance. And as we're entering into recession, territory, we have Trump talking about the U.S. dollar is better than ever, the stock market's better than ever. What's that going to look like when it goes down? And in November 2016, a couple days after he was elected, we did a report on how the Fed was going to crash the economy and blame it on smaller government, but it's not even visibly smaller. I mean, yeah, there's lower taxes and there's stuff that I appreciate versus what was. But much of it is a perpetuation of what was. And I feel like people are too complacent with, just trust the plan, sit back and watch. That's a perfect psyop, if you want to call it a psyop, for people to sit back and just wait to be controlled and led to the slaughter. It's like, rule yourself, folks. Stop being so insanely dependent on a centralized entity, a monopoly on force that we call the state, an organized crime racket that extorts people to sustain itself, like sucking the blood out of a person like a vampire. And so with that said, the cryptocurrency markets are looking good in the long term. There's lots of volatility, there's lots of risks, there's lots of market manipulation, and there will be bubbles, and there will be problems. But I think overall the forecast is pretty good going forward, and long term especially, and the infrastructure technology on the blockchain that's decentralized versus a centrally planned crap that the government is trying to push forward. It's the difference between, you could say, for example, I got food poisoning at this restaurant. But you blame the restaurant, you don't blame food in general, which is what people do with exchanges. When a fraudulent exchange loses people money, it's like, well, that's what happens with Bitcoin. No, that's what happens when you put your money in an exchange. I mean, and again, everything can be used for good or for evil. So you could use a gun to slaughter a whole bunch of innocent people, but you could use that same gun to save all those people from being slaughtered. And I think that's important. I think it's important to understand the good and the bad and everything. You don't say all humans are bad because Jeffrey Dahmer. You don't say all humans are good because, well, insert name here. It's not that cut and dry. It's not that simple. And it's not that simple for cryptocurrency either. And I stayed away from cryptocurrency for a long time until I really started understanding it and stopped being so much like Peter Schiff and sitting around going, I'm so stubborn in my viewpoint, I'm going to just keep trashing it. And it's so weird because Peter Schiff won't even make money off of it. He's like, it's just speculative. Well, you invest in the stock market, so why don't you invest in cryptocurrency then? You just hate it so much that you're just disgusted by it, and you seem to hate it more than the stock market. It's so crazy. So anyway, it's all the system itself, centralized, enforced by legal tender laws. Fiat system is basically just propped up on debt, on nothing, on a hill of debt sewage. And cryptocurrency, gold, silver, many other assets, cash flow, etc. are great ways, in my opinion, to get out of that system. And Robert Kiyosaki agrees. We had recently interviewed him, and he's a friend of Donald Trump's. I think Trump's just being told to say this stuff. Honestly, I don't even believe he is saying it because it's so stupid. And I know he's a businessman. I know he makes lots of money. And I know he's been very successful at it. So to see him say these things tells me he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. And it was all nonsense from the very beginning. Or he's being told to do it. He's being told to say it. He's being told to say fire and fury. He's being told to say we're pulling out of Syria, and then a week later say we're actually staying in Syria in order to protect Israel and protect the world, his exact quote. It goes to show presidents, doesn't matter who they are, puppets. Otherwise, they end up with, well, a different kind of silver bullet in their head from, well, this deep state that he's apparently fighting, which for some reason Trump supporters seem to call the Obama holdovers. We know the deep state's much deeper and much more horrible than it appears. And I mean, even the Jeffrey Epstein thing says a lot about where the establishment's at when all of them are palling around with this guy. But anyway, that's a whole other story for another day. But I wanted to go into this because I thought it was important. I think it's important to talk about this kind of stuff. If anyone's interested, here is our Bitcoin address for tips to help us share free information as much as we can every single day of the week. We work 18 hours a day, well, I do. Bringing you guys free content, and any help is very much appreciated. Anyway, we're going to get going, and we appreciate you joining us. We're going to follow this up. Is he going to push regulations? Is the SEC going to come after people and extort people and tell people what they can or cannot invest in, and then extort people more, and then prop up a giant slave racket and blow up kids overseas and pay off a little bit of the interest on the debt, on the tens of trillions of dollars of debt? It's all theater. So ridiculous, guys. So ridiculous. Anyway, that's the world today, 2019. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. But we can prepare ourselves and do whatever we can as free individuals to free ourselves, free our minds, and prepare for the inevitable future that we face. Dollar crash? Yes, absolutely. Biggest recession in history? Definitely. Deutsche Bank crashing and laying off their employees? Absolutely. Bankrupt banking system? Yes, look at the cash to deposit ratio on the balance sheets. Recession indicators, depression, worldwide, everything bubble, and people are flooding away and scattering, and the establishment is a little bit worried. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we're so heavily demonetized and censored and shadow banned. It's getting really bad, folks. If everyone just gave $1 single a month to, say, Patreon or our Subscribestar, where we do subscriber-only content, we could really get out of this rut that we are currently in as YouTube tries to stifle independent media and prop up the mainstream media. This is really important. This is one of the most important times in independent media history for us to say it's now or never. Let's keep moving forward and let's be that change that we wish to see in the world. Of course, there's also our Bitcoin address below as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And of course, we got events coming up. So make sure to check us out at AnarchoVegas.com. AnarchoVegas.com. Use promo code WAM, that's WAM, for a 10% discount on your tickets. It's on July 19th, 20th, and 21st in, of course, Las Vegas, Nevada. That's AnarchoVegas.com. Make sure to check us out there and find us on websites like BitTube and Minds, and just try to support independent media, if not myself, any of the other big independent medias out there, to help us continuously bring our message to you free of charge so that we can really change the guard as we move forward into a dramatically polarized, crazy future. Let's try to make it as sustainable as possible. It comes down to you guys. You are the change you wish to see. You guys will help us get through these tough times. So anyway, check out all those links. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.
Wow.